Hello, Kevin Cortez here, and I'm the founder of Mobile Marketing Helper. And hopefully, you've had a chance to check out the information on the Franchise Opportunity website. And if you haven't, the link's found right below there at mobilehelperfranchise.com. So that's something you need to do if you haven't done already, and just do it after this video, and then that way you'll be up to speed. So you might be thinking, who am I, and why should you consider getting on the same road that I'm on? And a little bit of a background about me: I have entrepreneurship in my DNA. My grandfather, Joe McNally, back in the mid-1940s, that's not him on that truck right there, by the way, but he founded Eastern Sierra Wholesalers in California. And one of the very first franchises he obtained was the Coors franchise. Now, granted, that's a distribution model franchise, but he started in franchising back in 1946. So I grew up around the family business, but my dad didn't let me work in it because he didn't want me to have a safety net to where I'd be goofing off too much. But he did help me get my first job, and that was at a gas station called Tony's 76. And boy, looking back at it now, I learned some valuable work ethic lessons. And starting at 15, when everybody else is out running around playing, and you're having to go to work every day, it does form in you an appreciation of the work ethic and what it takes. And so I pumped gas all through high school and the first year or two in college until I got another great job stocking shelves at the local Safeway store. And so that was real good because I could be out of the elements. But my big break came when I was going to college, and I was hired by the Coors Brewing Company to be a college marketing campus representative. And I'll tell you what, I thought I had hit the big time. When people would ask me what I did, I tell them I worked for a Fortune 500 company as a marketing rep. And really, I thought it was a big deal, but it wasn't that big of a deal. But in all actuality, it did help in my popularity category, especially with the fraternities. And then after graduating Cal Poly, I moved halfway across the country to Dallas, Texas, to where I was going to start my illustrious corporate world career. And so I worked in business development and administration, but it seemed like I locked into the media world and the marketing world, and that's where I really found my niche and what I really did like. And so I stayed in Dallas for about 8 years until 1991. I moved back to California, and I moved back to take over the family business. And I guess my dad thought I'd learned enough stuff to finally allow me to be a part of the family business, or maybe it had to do with the fact that he wanted to retire and play more golf. I don't know which one it was, probably the latter. But anyway, I diversified the company. It was primarily a beer, wine, and liquor distributorship, and so I diversified into Snapple and Red Bull and Gatorade and water and bar supplies. And so if you needed cherries or olives or napkins or glassware or a TV for the bar, you could get it through Eastern Sierra Wholesalers. And so we developed that as the biggest beverage service and distribution company in the area. And I was pretty proud of that. Watched over that 300% growth over 15 years, and considering that 85% of what we had originally sold was no longer in our portfolio, I was pretty proud of that fact. But the kin folks said, "Jed, you need to move away from there." And so my wife is from Dallas, and that's her home. And so she said it was her turn to be home. And so we returned to Dallas. And in 2005, I began a career as a management consultant to small and medium-sized businesses for one of the largest privately held consulting firms. And so once I learned the consultancy model, and I started my own company called Entrust Management Solutions, and primarily so I wouldn't have to travel 6 days a week, and that was pretty brutal at that point in time. But if you're watching this video right now, then you're most likely thinking about investing your time and talent and resources into owning your own business. And you're investigating various franchise opportunities, no doubt, and you're probably looking for some way to create a happy and normal and productive and successful life for yourself and your family, and you're just maybe not quite sure what the next move should be. And the more you look at it, you're also realizing that you're finding it harder and harder to find something that has some little bit of security in it, because we are facing some economic turmoil and uncertainty, and it seems to me like basically for this season anyway, it's just the new norm. And unfortunately, in the midst of this season, the business failure rate is going up. In fact, the last 3 years, business failure rate has gone up 40%, and I know in my home state of California, the business failure rate is up a whopping 149%. So as you can see in this cartoon here, when you start to look at it and you start really drilling down into the statistics, it just gets worse and worse. And so it was right in the midst of all this transition that seemed like that my business had hit a wall. All the businesses I worked with or would try and work with, they were just paralyzed with fear and were just afraid to do anything. So I got a little bit freaked out and a little discouraged and frustrated, and definitely that picture is not a reflection of how I was processing things, because there was not a smile on my face. And if you see that gray hair there going into it, there was a whole lot more pepper and a lot less salt. So, but it was in the midst of this junk that I came to realize that I'd better take control of my situation anyway, and began to look for new opportunities. And I had heard, like probably you have, that during the Great Depression, per capita, there were more millionaires created than at any other time. And so I did know that that in this business climate, it's actually perfect to be able to see new opportunities and take advantage of them. So it was during this season of life-changing transition in my life that I launched Mobile Marketing Helper. And so you know a little bit about me, but now let's look at what Mobile Marketing Helper is and isn't. And first and foremost, we are a business. That's the very first thing that I believe everything needs to be founded upon. You need to understand the business side of the business. And I know many people consider themselves business people and entrepreneurs, but and just because they have a business card or website or maybe some brochures and stationery, I personally think that doesn't make you an entrepreneur. But I do understand you have to start somewhere. But I've been in places where businesses that were generating about $1 million a year were actually imploding, and when I looked at their financial system, all it was their checkbook. So number one, we're a business, and then number two, we're a franchise with all the support that comes along with that, and the systems and processes, and we've proved things out. And third, we are a marketing company. That's the type of company we are. My motto is marketing first, then mobile marketing second, because if you get that turned around and there's shifting in technology and such, you can miss the mark in a big way. And so you've probably found out that our franchise fee to enter into this turnkey business is actually $15,000. And so you might say, well, what is the value that I get that goes along with that $15,000? And so I pulled up an invoice I had when I was working with that consulting firm, and I looked at a 2-week invoice, and the typical average, I began to average it out, and I said, well, okay, if I was to go in and you were just wanted a mobile marketing business, and you had kind of signed up with a reseller or white label or a multi-level marketing, text marketing club or something, and you wanted a real business, to actually have me set up what I've set up with Mobile Marketing Helper would run you between $229,176, and that's the very bare minimum, and up to about an average of $286,470. So when you sign up for a mobile marketing franchise, you're signing up a little bit more for just reselling for a technology company, and I'll cover a little bit more about that in the choices section of the Applicant Learning Center. But just to summarize, you need to realize that a franchise business model Typically, I think it was the U.S. Chamber of Commerce reports that 92% of franchises are still in existence after 5 years. Now, I believe that's an old report, and really you need to be aware that failure rates for franchises varies significantly by the type of franchise. But the statistic that is accurate today is independent businesses. After 5 years, 19 of 20 of these startups are no longer in business, and that's not even taking into account that up 40% business failure rate. So, I do realize that franchising is not for everyone. In fact, out of 100 people who request for more information, I know that only 1% will actually end up doing anything about it. And so the question that's before us is, if franchising is so successful, and it is, and the vast majority of franchises succeed, and they do, why do only 1% of those interested in learning actually join a franchise? And I think it's because of many reasons, but the bottom line is if you're endeavoring to make a logical decision about what you should do, your emotions are going to be screaming for your attention, and the emotional decision as to whether or not to start a franchise will always be no. I mean, you'll always have a reason as to why to say no to a franchise, and it could be many different reasons. So really, if you continue in our selection process, I'm not only going to help you decide if our franchise is for you, but I'm going to explain to you what you are going to see and feel and experience before you even invest in not only our franchise, but any franchise for that matter. So my goal is to help you to manage your emotions and perceptions, and so that you won't make a bad decision based on fear or false hopes or bad info or misperceptions or anything like that. And so what you're going to feel like, if you haven't already, like you've been put in a slingshot and pulled back. The pressure is going to be there, and this isn't a normal feeling in one sense, but it is what you should be feeling. So if you've come to a place in your life like I did, where you want to get on the path of the 1% and do something about your future, and you're ready to take a shot at it, and yes, risk failing, then I encourage you to check out all of the information throughout this Applicant Learning Center. And I just want you to know that I really do appreciate your interest in our company, and it's been my pleasure to inform you about our unique one-of-a-kind mobile marketing helper business opportunity. And be sure to continue going through this Applicant Learning Center, and I look forward to meeting you.